The mahogany doors of Pacific Technologies' executive boardroom swung open with practiced precision. Crystal chandeliers cast long shadows across the century-old conference table, a relic from when my grandfather first built this company from nothing but blueprints and determination. Today that same table would witness either our family's greatest shame or an unexpected resurrection. I arrived early, watching family members file in for the annual shareholders meeting. The tension was palpable, evident in every forced smile and nervous adjustment of expensive clothing. Mom kept fidgeting with her Mikimoto pearls, a nervous habit I'd noticed since childhood. My sister Amanda, still in her corporate lawyer power suit from her morning court appearance, was already spreading documents across the table with military precision. Thomas, my older brother and the company's CFO, looked like he hadn't slept in days, his Armani suit slightly wrinkled, a first in company history. Dad entered last and I barely recognized him. The commanding presence that had dominated these meetings for 30 years was gone, replaced by a man who looked every bit his 68 years. His hands trembled slightly as he arranged his papers, a detail that didn't escape anyone's notice. "Before we begin," Dad started, his voice lacking its usual authority, "I want to thank everyone for coming on such short notice." He paused, seemingly searching for words, another first. "The situation is complicated." The quarterly reports looked fine, Amanda interjected, her lawyer instincts kicking in. "We showed a modest profit last quarter." Dad's bitter laugh caught everyone off guard. "Those reports are 2 weeks old. Ancient history." I sat quietly observing. 5 years ago I'd sat at this same table, practically vibrating with excitement as I tried to convince them to invest in my startup. "Quantum computing is the future," I'd insisted, spreading out my business plan. "We could revolutionize not just semiconductors, but the entire computing industry." The memory of their reactions still stung. Dad's patronizing pat on my shoulder. Amanda's barely concealed smirk. Thomas's careful explanation of why established technologies were safer investments. "Stick to what you know," Dad had advised. "Leave the innovation to the big players. We're a manufacturing company, not a research lab." The family had nodded in unified agreement. Why risk the family fortune on some unproven technology from the youngest son who'd always been more comfortable with circuit boards than balance sheets? So I'd left, maxed out my credit cards and built it anyway. Converted my garage into a lab, lived on ramen noodles and poured everything into my vision. They'd called me foolish, reckless, a disappointment to the family name. Even Mom, always my gentlest critic, had worried I was throwing away my potential. The Chin contract, Dad's voice pulled me back to the present, collapsed last week. They pulled out of the semiconductor deal completely. The sharp intake of breath around the table said everything. That contract had been our lifeline, the cornerstone of this year's projections. "How bad?" Thomas asked, though his face suggested he already knew. Dad's shoulders sagged. "We need $50 million by month's end to meet our obligations. Without it..." He slid a document into the center of the table. "Matthews Corp has made an offer." Amanda snatched up the paper, her legal training evident in how quickly she processed it. "This is a hostile takeover. They're offering 20 cents on the dollar." "It's better than bankruptcy," Thomas said quietly. "At least it keeps the company somewhat intact." "Somewhat intact?" Amanda's voice rose. "They'll strip out the valuable patents, lay off half the workforce and sell the rest for parts. Everything grandfather built." I opened my laptop silently, logging into my banking portal. The sale of my company's quantum chip division had closed yesterday, $2.7 billion in cash and stock. I kept it quiet, knowing this day was coming. Funny how 5 years of being dismissed as the family disappointment had taught me the value of strategic silence. "Unless someone has $50 million lying around," Dad attempted to joke weakly, "Matthews Corp is our only option." The familiar wire transfer screen glowed in front of me. Amount, $50 million. Recipient, Pacific Technologies. Purpose, capital investment. My finger hovered over the confirm button as I thought about all the times they'd dismissed my ideas, questioned my judgment, treated me like the dreamer who needed to grow up and join the real business world. "Actually," I said, pressing confirm, "let's talk about quantum integration." I turned my laptop around, displaying the transfer confirmation. As your new majority shareholder, I have some thoughts about modernizing our technology division. The silence was absolute. Dad's face went from red to white. Amanda's Mont Blanc pen clattered to the floor. Mom's pearls slipped from her nerveless fingers. How? Thomas started. Remember that foolish quantum computing startup? I smiled slightly. The one that was too risky for family investment. It sold yesterday. For $2.7 billion. But you work from your garage. Mom stammered. Worked, I corrected gently. Past tense. Though the garage was a nice place to build the prototype that just revolutionized quantum computing. These days I mostly work from my corporate headquarters in Silicon Valley. When I'm not meeting with the Pentagon about defense contracts. Dad's hands were shaking harder now as he stared at the transfer confirmation. The amount that could save his company, our company, had come from the son he'd dismissed as an impractical dreamer. Now, I continued, pulling out my own stack of documents, about those modernization plans I tried to present 5 years ago. I believe you'll find them more interesting this time. Especially since quantum integration just made Pacific Technologies the most valuable semiconductor company in North America. The same proposals they'd rejected when I was just the family disappointment. But this time no one was laughing. I met each family member's shocked gaze in turn, saving Dad for last. Shall we begin the shareholders' meeting? I believe we have some voting matters to discuss. The next hour transformed Pacific Technologies more thoroughly than the previous 30 years. As the new majority shareholder, my proposals passed with mechanical efficiency, each vote punctuated by the stunned silence of my family members. First order of business, I announced, pulling up detailed presentations on the boardroom screens. We're restructuring the entire semiconductor division. Our new quantum architecture makes traditional chip manufacturing obsolete. Thomas, still processing how his little brother had become his boss, flipped through the technical specifications. These processing speeds, they can't be real. The Pentagon said the same thing. I smiled, remembering their faces during the demonstration. Until our prototype outperformed their most advanced supercomputers by a factor of 50. The defense contract alone is worth $1.2 billion. But the retooling costs. Dad began falling back on familiar objections. Are already covered, I interrupted gently. The transfer you received was just the beginning. I've allocated $300 million for immediate modernization. Amanda, her legal mind finally engaging, leaned forward. The Matthews Corp offer has been rejected, I confirmed. Though they're welcome to negotiate a licensing agreement for our quantum technology. At current market rates, of course. Current market rates? Thomas asked. $800 million per license, I clarified. We've already signed deals with 3 major tech companies. It seems unproven technology is quite valuable these days. Mom hadn't touched her pearls in 20 minutes. A new record. But how, when did you build a multi-billion-dollar quantum computing company? I finished. During all those years you thought I was wasting time in my garage. Those late nights you worried I was throwing my life away. Those family dinners where everyone politely avoided mentioning the disappointment living above a laboratory. The presentations showed the next phase. Integration of quantum processing into Pacific's existing manufacturing lines. The same plans I'd brought them 5 years ago, now backed by billions in proven success. We'll retain the current workforce, I continued, addressing Dad's unspoken concern. But they'll need extensive retraining. I've arranged partnerships with leading technical universities. You've arranged? Dad interrupted, old habits dying hard. Without board approval. The board will vote on it shortly, I smiled. Though given the current ownership structure I expect it will pass. Along with the new executive compensation packages. That got their attention. Thomas nearly dropped his tablet. You're not. Amanda started. Firing anyone? No. But certain positions will be redefined. I pulled up the new organizational chart. Thomas, your financial expertise will be valuable in our new investment division. Amanda will need your legal skills for the international patent portfolio. And Dad. Everyone tensed. Will remain as chairman emeritus, I finished. Though operational control transfers to the new CEO effective immediately. And that would be. Dad's voice trailed off. Dr. Sarah Chin, I announced, triggering another shocked silence. Previously head of quantum research at our chief competitor. The Chin contract, Thomas whispered. The one that just collapsed. Was a corporate raid, I confirmed. We didn't just get their top scientist, we got their entire quantum research division. 38 patents and over 200 engineers. You orchestrated a corporate raid, Amanda said slowly, while running a multi-billion-dollar company, from our garage? The garage had excellent security, I noted. No one looks twice at a failed startup, which made it perfect cover for developing technology that just made us the most valuable tech company on the West Coast. The screens filled with financial projections, stock valuations, market penetration, global expansion plans. 5 years of strategy unveiled in minutes. The quantum processing division will occupy the new campus, I continued. Construction starts next month on the old Wilson property. The abandoned airfield? Dad frowned. That's 3,000 acres. We'll need the space, I said. The quantum manufacturing facility alone requires 12 clean rooms, plus housing for 5,000 new employees. Mom finally found her voice. 5,000. Top engineers from around the world, I nodded. Plus their families. We're building an entire research city. Schools, shopping, medical facilities, everything needed to support the brightest minds in quantum computing. The scope of it hit them all at once. Their family company, which had been facing bankruptcy hours ago, was about to become the center of a technological revolution. One last item, I added, enjoying their expressions. The Air Force contract requires enhanced security. Starting tomorrow, the company will be designated a Level 4 restricted facility. You'll all need to undergo clearance investigations. Military contracts? Dad looked dazed. We've never had the capability before, I finished. Amazing what you can accomplish in a garage with the right vision. Now, shall we discuss the space program's interest in our quantum propulsion research? The sound of Thomas's tablet actually hitting the floor was particularly satisfying. 6 months transformed Pacific Technologies beyond recognition. The sleepy manufacturing company became a technological juggernaut, its stock price rising so fast that financial networks created a separate ticker just to track our quantum division. The family's adaptation to the new reality proved entertaining. Dad struggled the most. After 30 years of running the company his way, watching his youngest son revolutionize it from a garage was a difficult pill to swallow. I'd catch him wandering the new quantum research facility, staring at equipment worth more than our entire old factory, muttering about garage startups and billion-dollar secrets. I still don't understand, he admitted during one of our weekly lunches, a new tradition I'd instituted to ease the transition. How did none of us see what you were building? You saw exactly what you expected to see, I replied, signing off on another billion-dollar contract. The disappointing son playing with circuits in his garage. It was perfect cover for developing military-grade quantum technology. Mom transformed her earlier worry into aggressive pride. She now introduced me at social functions as, my son, the quantum computing pioneer, a significant upgrade from her previous, he's still finding himself. Though she still occasionally brought up eligible daughters of family friends, she now emphasized their PhDs instead of their social connections. Thomas threw himself into learning quantum economics with the same intensity he'd once applied to traditional finance. I'd find him late at night in his new office, surrounded by quantum computing textbooks, trying to understand how superposition affected market dynamics. The quantum investment algorithms, he announced one morning, eyes bleary from another all-night study session, they're predicting market movements 3 weeks in advance. That's just the public version, I smiled. Wait until you see what the classified systems can do. Amanda's legal mind proved surprisingly adaptable. She now headed our quantum patent division, defending intellectual property that even she admitted bordered on science fiction. Our competitors' lawyers keep claiming our patents violate the laws of physics, she reported during one memorable meeting. I had to bring in quantum physicists to explain to the judge why that's no longer a valid argument. The old board members retired quietly, replaced by a mix of quantum scientists and tech visionaries. Our market cap exceeded the GDP of several small nations. The garage where it all began became a corporate museum piece, complete with guided tours and a gift shop. Dr. Chin proved an excellent CEO, though she enjoyed reminding me about our first meeting 5 years ago. You offered to buy my entire research division, she recalled during a quantum steering committee, while wearing jeans and coding in a garage. I thought you were crazy until you demonstrated the prototype. The garage had excellent ventilation, I noted. Perfect for quantum plasma experiments. The military contracts expanded beyond anyone's expectations. When the Joint Chiefs visited to review our quantum encryption systems, Dad finally understood why I'd installed military-grade security in the garage. Those strange deliveries at midnight, he realized. The unmarked trucks. Quantum components are sensitive, I explained. Also technically classified. The garage's thermal signature masking system alone cost more than our old factory. The space program came next. NASA's Quantum Propulsion Initiative made headlines worldwide, though few understood the garage's role in developing faster-than-light theory. Your son revolutionized physics from above your garage, one reporter told my parents. Mom proudly showed off the burn marks from early quantum plasma tests. Pacific Technology's new campus reshaped the region's economy. The quantum research city grew faster than planned, attracting scientists from every major tech company. Our quantum computing academy became more selective than MIT. We've had to turn down Nobel laureates, our HR director complained. There's a 2-year waiting list just for visiting researcher positions. The family dynamics shifted subtly. Holiday dinners became more interesting, especially when discussing quantum advances that wouldn't be declassified for decades. Pass the potatoes would lead to conversations about quantum teleportation theory. How's work? Could trigger security protocols. 1 year to the day after the takeover, I called another family meeting. The same boardroom, but now overlooking a quantum research campus larger than downtown. Remember when you thought 50 million would save the company? I asked, displaying our latest financials. Today's quantum division alone is worth 400 billion. But that's not why I called you here. I pulled up images from our deep space research facility, the real one hidden beneath the public campus. Who wants to hear about our quantum gateway project? Mom, you might want to sit down for this one. Dad's expression suggested he might need that cardiac medication after all. But that's another story. One that makes quantum computing look like a garage hobby in comparison. Sometimes late at night I still visit the garage where it all began. The quantum shielding hums softly, protecting secrets that changed the world. On the workbench, gathering dust, sits Dad's old business card from when he first suggested I get a real job. Next week we begin testing the quantum portal. The garage, it turns out, was just the beginning. So, I asked at our next family dinner, watching their faces carefully, who wants to hear about parallel universes?